This review is brought to you by the death of the YA dystopian genre. Cheers.
The last city. Wicked's whole base of operations. It's the lion's den, hermano.
That's where we're going.
3 years we spent behind walls trying to break out. Now we're trying to break back in. Alright, I get shotgun.
Maze Runner: The Death Trials is directed by Wes Ball and it stars Dylan O'Brien, Rosa Salazar, Thomas Brody Sangster and Aidan Gillen. And it's the third movie in the Maze Runner trilogy. It's the finale of the Maze Runner trilogy. Thank goodness this is only a trilogy and not a two-part finale, which it easily could have been, but thank goodness it wasn't. And basically, Minho has been kidnapped. You know, the Asian kid from the second one that got kidnapped. And they're like, you know what, we gotta go back and rescue him. So they end up going to this last city still standing, that's run by Wicked, which is the evil corporation, and they break in and they're trying to rescue their friend. Basically it's like a rescue mission so they can get in and get out and leave and be safe forever. All the way the group encounters difficulties that they periodically overcome. The thing about Maze Runner: The Death Cure is that it's not as bad as the second one, that's for sure. The second one sucks, and it's not as good as the first one because that's actually good. It's like in that weird zone of bad to okay of a movie, where in some scenes you're actually pretty interested and entertained by what you see, and then in other scenes you'll just sort of be bored and wishing that it just ends sometime soon, because this movie is the longest out of all of them, because it's like as long as Wonder Woman. You know how long Wonder Woman was? Imagine that, except you don't get to watch Wonder Woman, you get to watch a bunch of sweaty teenagers run around the city, escaping gunfire. Whilst the acting and there might be mildly entertaining scenes throughout Maze Runner: The Death Cure, especially this imagination, like it was only a dream sequence for Minho that happens in like just before the middle of the movie. That scene was actually quite interesting and it had some sort of tension and it was well done. The acting performance out of everyone is okay, except for Dylan O'Brien, who is, again, good. I haven't really seen him give a bad performance no matter what quality of a movie he is in, whether it be the first and second Maze Runner, Deepwater Horizon or American Assassin. But the cast surrounding him isn't as good as him. I'm not sure, they all look like they're actually trying, but they're just not at the same level as Dylan O'Brien. The action throughout the movie is pretty by the numbers and a little bit boring to watch, because the action sequences seem to just be very predictable and drone on. They don't seem to have any form of great tension to them. It's just boring to watch. It's very unappealing to the eye, how the action is done. And that just makes the action sequences feel much longer than they actually are, and you just end up a bit bored. And the action is sort of there in the third act to sort of divert your attention from the meandering and complicated plot that the movie builds up in the second act. In the first act it's very simple. It's go in, get Minho, get out. And then they complicate it all in the second act with all these politics and rules of what not to do and what to do, and they introduce another group of rebels which makes it even more complicated in the third act, because that makes their entire conflict it makes everything a lot more complicated than it has to be. Like seriously, it just requires 5 minutes of explaining to another person how everything is unfolding and they would have been like, alright, let's just stop the conflict for 5 minutes. But by far my biggest problem for the Maze Runner: The Death Cure is the conflict between the leader of Wicked, I can't remember what her name is, the white lady in the blonde hair in the first one that shot herself and then she became the bad guy. I don't understand why her and Dylan O'Brien are at odds at all, really. Thomas in the movie does pretty much everything he can to save Minho. But he sets up, the idea is set up of Thomas only doing something for Minho and his friends over Thomas actually trying to help the big problem, which is the virus that is making everyone like zombies. So it's sort of like a Thomas is the bad guy sort of thing when you look at it from a moral standpoint. And the movie doesn't try to justify his standpoint other than they're friends. And that's something that really had me distracted throughout the movie and wondering why I'm even trying to follow Thomas. I don't even want to be on his side because he's not on the side of humanity, which they're obviously trying to fight for because they're trying to escape from the company, which is trying to preserve humanity. But they're taking, like, it's a weird moral situation that they try and put themselves in yet avoid, because Thomas is obviously not doing the correctly moral thing. He's just going after his friends rather than trying to help humanity. But that discussion is never had, and it's never provided as a moral dilemma for Thomas. Dylan O'Brien, I think it's Thomas is his name. And that's just a big problem I have with his character arc. It doesn't feel fulfilled or complete or like he has any weight of the world on him at any time. It feels like he's only there for a simple like objective, and that's just not good enough for me. I feel really let down by his character arc, and I don't think it's fulfilling in a way. But I do think that if you're a fan of the first two movies, you will enjoy this quite a lot. I reckon if you like the first movie, you'll enjoy this a little, like, enough. For a January movie, Maze Runner the Death Cure isn't that bad. Overall, the movie isn't that bad. It's not terrible, but it's not good. So I will say Maze Runner the Death Cure, Platypus does not approve. Have you seen Maze Runner the Death Cure? What's your favourite Maze Runner movie? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and comment on the Platypus. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh wow, you made it to the end of the video. Good job. Click that subscribe button over there for more good content, or click one of these two videos down below, which is probably one of my most recent ones, probably. I mean, you know, just click either one of them. Either one's really good enough.